Relax.
Thank you.
Settle down. You are a Maurya Bharadwaj.
Yes, sir.
Maurya.
Mourya
Bharadwaj is my name, sir. Mantri is my family name, sir. Yes, sir.
But not related to any of the Magadha or Mauryas.
Nothing like that, sir. My father is a history enthusiast, so he named me after one of the greatest empire of the dynasty of the country.
Mourya dynasty.
Good. So you studied in NIT Warangal, electronics communication, and after that you worked for some time. Right now you are still working, or you?
I'm currently working, sir.
Where exactly are you working?
So yes, sir. It's in Hyderabad only. The company name is Micron. It's a multinational company, US-based multinational company, sir. It manufactures memories which we use in mobile phones and as well as cars, sir.
Is it a competitor for Qualcomm or something?
No, sir. It's a competitor for SanDisk, Western Digital. Storage devices.
Storage?
Yes, sir.
Integrated circuitry, just a storage device.
Yes, sir.
You also worked with SanDisk?
Yes, sir. Prior to this Micron, I worked right after my college. Through campus placement, I got a job in SanDisk, sir. So I worked there.
I remember some 15 GB, some red one we used to have USB.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I used to work in the same teams.
Okay.
One which.
So you are reasonably well off financially, career-wise, and still you want to join the Indian Administrative Service. Any particular reason?
This desire to join in Indian Administrative Service, it's there right from my childhood, sir. Both my parents are in public services. My father is in education department and my mother is in health department. So from childhood, I was like inspired to work in government services, and administrative services are one of the topmost service to work. So that is the reason I was.
Parents are still in Narsipatnam. Where are they now?
They are in Hyderabad.
Are they still working or they retired?
They are working, sir.
So now Narsipatnam, in the new reorganization of districts of Andhra Pradesh, in which district does Narsipatnam come?
It comes under Anakapalli
district, sir.
Anakapalli district. Okay. Downuru. You ever heard of Downuru?
Yes, sir. It's around 10 kilometers from our Narsipatnam.
On the way to?
Chintapalli, Lamasingi.
Okay. So Downuru is also in Anakapalli district, or is it in some tribal district has been created? Paderu headquarters or?
Allur Sitaram district.
So is Downuru part of Allur Sitaram?
I'm not aware of it.
Okay, our former Chief Secretary will ask more serious questions.
Yeah, okay. So, Mr. Bharadwaj, yesterday we have seen that the Prime Minister was addressing a conference on semiconductors. So, what is the message he wanted to convey to Indians and industries?
Major message was he want to project that right now it is the best time to invest in India for semiconductor manufacturing, sir. Currently, our share in semiconductor manufacturing is it's not even there. Chip manufacturing facilities are not there in India. We are relying heavily on countries like South Korea, Taiwan to import chips. So, and we have a huge loss of foreign exchange because of those imports. So, given the fact that we are targeting a $1 trillion digital economy by 2025, I mean, there will be a huge demand for semiconductors. By 2025, the expected demand was $80 billion. So that is why government is promoting chip manufacturing in semiconductor manufacturing in India, sir.
So your company is into designing chips or manufacturing chips also?
Both, sir. But in India it's designing, sir. It's only design.
So you don't pollute the water or air?
No, sir.
No. You don't have manufacturing facility in India at all?
No, sir.
Why does that, why is that semiconductors industry is criticized for being a very bad polluter?
It is highly resource
This
intensive.
is the first thing. The technology itself need a lot of water, clean water, and good quality electricity, and that is the reason it is called polluting industry. And apart from that, the chemicals used for manufacturing those semiconductor chips, they are also polluting in nature.
So, considering the pollution control regulations in place in India today, if you are asked to set up a new unit in pursuance of the call given by the PM, which location will you select for establishing a manufacturing unit for chips? If your company has to start manufacturing, which location will you decide?
I would, in both Andhra, if I consider Andhra and Telangana, I would consider Rayalaseema region, sir, Anantapur region, because agricultural land is less, there is land availability
There, but there are some problems like water scarcity and all. Is there. So
what is the criticality for selecting a location is the question.
Yes.
Not just lands which are not being used for productive purposes. So what are the various criteria that you will keep in mind before selecting the location of a manufacturing unit for semiconductors in order of priority? Is it nearness to market or nearness to availability of raw materials or what?
It is nearness to market only, sir.
Why? Is it very expensive to transport to the market for selling?
Many raw materials anyways we will be importing, sir.
Okay.
So in India we can't consider raw material as a criteria. Nearness to market in the sense that availability of skilled personnel is one thing, sir. Like,
No, but you yourself said it's a water guzzler and it requires a lot of water.
Yes.
So don't you think it is critical for the unit to have water source nearby?
Yes, sir.
So what should be the highest priority in selecting the location? Water availability? You yourself said Rayalaseema, no, from that point of view it's not proper.
yes, sir. From that point of view, it is not proper. But water availability, we have to make provisions like constructing a canal from the nearby projects, river projects, to support this semiconductor fabs. Sir. Like for example, if you take steel plant, Vizag steel plant, they had constructed a dam called Elaswaram, which is some 80 kilometers, and there is a dedicated canal for water supply to the steel plant. Like that, we have to make some arrangements. But if we take, it also requires huge amount of land, sir, and there is land scarcity everywhere, and we can't convert agricultural lands to fabs. It is also not sustainable in nature. So considering both the aspects, that's why I have chosen Rayalaseema, sir. There is a possibility, then we have to get water from the nearby projects like Srisailam, some dedicated water resource.
So you have studied anthropology and you have taken that as an optional.
Yes.
Now, have you heard a term called single line administration in tribal areas?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is single line administration?
So it is an administrative method that was introduced during the 5-year plan. So single line administration is one
Dedicated body which is responsible for all the administrative works. Like they have established this ITDA dedicatedly to take care of all the administrative needs of tribals like education, health, water and sanitation, livelihood generation. So these single line administration, all the funds will be provided to them, and there will be a project officer who will take care of, who will design dedicated projects and implement these projects, sir. And staffing is provided accordingly to that under this ITDA.
So what are the major problems faced by the tribals in interior tribal areas of Visakhapatnam?
One major problem is drinking water, sir. And during rainy season, there is widespread prevalence of malaria, which was always there. Medical and health facilities are still not there because there is shortage of staff. Many people are not inclined to go to tribal remote areas and work in the PHCs. Even though PHCs are there, staffing is not there. and oftentimes pregnant ladies have to travel like 10-12 kilometers to get to the nearest road point and get accessibility for deliveries. So that is
So
there,
if you are
sir.
posted as a project officer of ITDA of Paderu,
Yes, sir.
so which aspects will you handle first?
Same drinking water, sir. First priority will
How
be.
will you address that problem?
We can like create water treatment plants in those areas to provide clean drinking water and
Is the current problem water availability or water quality?
water quality, sir.
What are the pollutants in the existing water bodies?
Pollutants, I'm not sure, sir. Like
So then how are you saying that the present water available is not qualitative? They have all springs and fresh water and mineral water. Without bottling, you'll get fresh mineral water in Paderu area. You have hydroelectric small mini projects in Paderu area. The water is fresh and clean. The problem is about storage and distribution, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the right of a tribal in tribal agency area about ownership of the land?
pardon me, sir, I could not get the question.
What are these constitutional safeguards provided to the tribal's rights as far as ownership of land in tribal agency area?
Yes, sir. So they come under the 5th schedule areas, sir, tribal areas. So they can't sell their lands to non-tribals. And
Is it a constitutional safeguard or is it a restriction imposed on them?
it is imposed on
Safeguard
them.
is others cannot buy.
Yes, sir.
Non-tribals
Non-tribals cannot buy.
cannot buy the land in the tribal area.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you also talked about your hobby, which is study of adverse effects of technology on the society.
General impact, sir.
Yeah. What is the adverse impact of some of the technologies that you have studied about?
So with the penetration of digital technologies these days, there are increasing cyber crimes in society, sir. As there is digital divide present, there are a lot of people who are vulnerable to these new technologies, and different types of cyber crimes are they are being exposed to multiple cyber crimes. Like there is cheating, like money, people are losing money. There is cyber bullying or harassment, sexual harassment through social media. So all these crimes are increasing in society, sir. Also, there is this fake news and hate speech that is currently being increasing in society, sir, because of penetration of social media.
Do you subscribe to the thought that on account of introduction of technology in marketplace, Flipkart and Amazon, there is a problem of employment in the ration shops or other kirana shops that you had traditionally? So is it an adverse effect of introducing IT in marketplace?
Yes, sir. I mean, like whenever we introduce technology, few jobs will be lost and new jobs will be created. So if we consider the kind of employment that is being created by these e-commerce sites, it is far more than the jobs it has destroyed. So in that way, I don't think it is adverse, because it is also creating a lot of economic potential opportunities, economic opportunities, even for the remote people of remote areas, sir. Many people are able to sell their products on this e-commerce platform. It is expanding their market, their outreach. So in this way, it is creating a lot of benefits. The key is people have to utilize these platforms, and they have to improve their own well-being, sir.
Have you heard of any initiative being taken by government of India to cut short the importance of private players like Amazon and Flipkart?
It has introduced these e-commerce rules, sir, where it tried to
Open source.
Open source. I did not.
Anybody can use it. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Government of India recently is planning to bring a e-commerce platform under Nandan Nilekani. It was being designed, sir, so that people can, even people from small towns and these kirana shops, they all can utilize this, and improve their livelihoods.
Now, before I pass on, please tell me, have you heard of a corporation called GCC? GCC,
No, sir.
relating to tribals?
Girijan Corporate.
Girijan Corporation, something.
It is headquartered in Vizag, Andhra Pradesh. Have you heard of it? What does it do?
It markets the products that are minor forest produce that was being collected from tribals, sir. Like coffee powder, it markets shika, and tamarind. Few products are there, sir. Like even in our town, they are available.
It supplies ration in tribal areas.
PDS outlets are there in tribal areas, sir.
They are the DR depots of
DR.
GCC.
Oh, okay.
What is the full form? Any idea?
No, sir.
Daily requirement depots. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Mr. Bharadwaj, you hail from Hyderabad.
Yes, sir.
It's the city of destiny.
Yes.
Who gave these words?
City of. I'm not aware, sir. Sorry.
Okay. So tell us whether Visakhapatnam played as the city of destiny.
Pardon me, sir.
Whether you find it is a city of destiny.
Yes, sir, definitely it is.
It has a lot of economic potential. I mean, there are a lot of industries in Visakhapatnam, and it's also an education hub. Andhra University is there, and it's also a tourist destination, popular tourist destination. So, considering all these factors, I can say that it's a city of destination.
Okay. What about the metro rail in Visakhapatnam? What is the present status of metro?
It is still under planning, sir. I'm not aware of the details.
What are the 4 corridors we talked about under this?
I'm not aware, sir. Sorry.
Now tell us, there was a newly created district which is called the Allur Sitarambaram district. So what are the taluks which were brought on this particular district? You are an anthropologist.
Paderu, Chindapalli, Ramchodavaram, Koyuru.
These are some taluks I can remember, sir.
From which districts are actual districts they were brought together?
So, as well, Visakhapatnam district and
East Godavari district, sir.
Now tell me, if you are posted as a collector, what would be your priorities?
To any particular district, sir? Like Allur Sitaram Raju district. First priority will be improving the infrastructure, road infrastructure in those areas, sir. Still many areas are not connected properly. And the second priority will be health, sir, because health facilities are now underdeveloped in those areas. Third priority will be marketing, providing proper marketing facilities to the, in general, livelihood opportunities for the people present in those tribal areas.
So you talked about the steel plant. Now tell us, the finance minister visited the steel plant and she told that the Visakhapatnam steel plant was up for 100% strategic sale as it was a loss-making PSU. These are the words. Now that the steel plant now turned around and now getting profits, do you go by the statement of the finance minister?
With respect to the privatization of steel plant, the major policy intention was that to retract government from non-core domain, like government has no business in being business. So in that way they are trying to privatize most of the industries, and through privatization steel plant, maybe today it might be generating profits this year or the previous year, but previously it is making losses. So with privatization,
it's making losses due to its own making, or any reasons are there by the government, inner government?
Both, sir, both the factors, due to the mismanagement.
What are the reasons from the government?
It was not allocated captive mines, sir, revenue and as well as coal, because of which raw material costs are increasing and
its profitability was declining, sir. And it also invested in loss-making business. It has established a subsidiary plant in Uttar Pradesh somewhere, and it was a loss-making project, because of which it has to take a lot of loans. Steel plant, yes, sir.
Anyway, so your father is a teacher, a master. Now there is a clash between two languages, English and Telugu. So what is the view? Is it a right type of clash between those two languages?
For school
For
children,
the medium, for the school children, that's what we are asking.
So, if we take today in Andhra Pradesh, most of the children are preferring English medium only. People from middle class parents. Most of the parents are preferring their children to study in English medium only, and there is a widespread notion that studying in English medium is a key for better opportunities in future. The point is, there are enough empirical studies, that studying in mother language will better improve the cognitive skills of children. At the same time, this aspect is also there, that better future. So we have to balance both the things. So it is not a correct decision to outrightly transition from a system that was present, like most of the government schools are run in Telugu medium from a very long time. Teachers are also accustomed to teach in Telugu medium. So it's not a correct thing to outrightly transition within span of 1 year, but slowly the transition has to be slow. And at least if we take the recommendations by the National Education Policy 2020, at least the primary levels should be in the mother language, and gradually, right from high school levels, from class 6 level, the transition should be to English, because it's a global language, and due to globalization, better opportunities will be present. So that is how it should be done.
Okay. Now there is a statement given by the Supreme Court of India regarding the financial mismanagement of AP. Are you aware of this?
Yes, sir.
Now, what exactly it is?
So due to the issue as its antecedents in the reorganization bill of 2014, sir, when Andhra Pradesh was bifurcated.
I'm talking about the Supreme Court was very serious about one matter. So that is going to be heard on 5th of May. Time is given of the 5th of May. So one issue regarding the funds, they were transferred from one account to the other account.
so local body accounts, the panchayati accounts, the funds which were provided to the panchayat accounts, they were taken by the state government, sir. So I think the issue was regarding this.
That's a different. Now tell us, as a student from anthropology, in your neighboring state there is a great person, Dr. Achyuta Samantha. I heard the name of this person. You heard about two great institutions called KISS and KIT.
Kalinga Institute.
Yes. Now what is the contribution of this personality, Achyuta Samantha?
I did not hear about the person.
This person. Okay. Now tell us, what are the prominent tribes you find in Andhra Pradesh?
In Andhra Pradesh we find the Koans, sir.
How many tribes anyway?
Total number I don't know, sir. There are 12 PVTGs in Andhra Pradesh.
How many PVTs are there?
12 PVTGs.
So what are they?
Koans, sir. Paramporjas.
And Kondareddis, Chenchus, Srisalam, I guess. So these I can recollect as of now.
Now tell us, Bharadwaj, there is a saying in the anthropology that the culture of a society reflects in its language. The culture of a society reflects its language. So this is the statement I am giving to you. Now, what do you understand by this statement? And apply this statement to Telugu language and tell us how the culture of the Telugu is reflected through, how the culture of the Telugu society is reflected through the Telugu language.
First thing, with respect to culture is reflected through language. There are multiple instances.
Sir, like languages where there is a difference for male and female, how male and female are addressed or addressed, it is reflected in the society where if there are differences, huge differences between male and females in that society, it is reflected in that language. Like that, there are multiple instances, sir, where culture is directly influencing the language. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on. So, with respect to Telugu language, usually the region, the area of Godavari is famous for their hospitality, and the people are renowned for hospitality, the respect they give. So, it is directly reflected in the language where they address with a very respectful manner. Their language, their accent, dialect is in such a way that they address people in a very respectful manner, very soothing manner. So,
Examples?
I can't recollect exactly.
You see, the language, intricacies of the language can be seen from the pronouns and the way how you address the relationships. So, from relations point of view, can you find any the subtlety, the subtle manners of showing more cultured manners, cultured way towards their children, towards their relatives, like that? Can you find anything like that? Anyway, you are in the reading books on emerging technologies.
Yes.
Okay, this is one area. But what I would like to know, as a student of anthropology, do you find any emerging technologies called human technologies to bring change in the attitudes of the tribals? Can you find any such technologies?
Emerging technology in tribal attitudes.
No, I'm talking about the human technologies which we can introduce so that you can bring development in the tribal people. You know the technological developments. I'm talking about the human technologies.
So one thing is the cooperative, the spirit of cooperation. It can be developed among tribals. The cooperative system is already previously as discussed. They can be used.
I'm talking about human technologies.
Human.
Not the cooperative society institutions. I'm not talking about institutions. I'm talking about any human technology there to introduce and to bring change in the attitudes and the personality of the tribal people. No, it's okay, but it's fine, it's fine. Okay, I want to know whether you are aware of those things. Sir.
Human technology term I was not able to understand.
Human technology means, suppose you want a technology to work a particular machine, you use some technology. For human beings also we use different technologies. For example, you want to know the behavior of other people. Then what do you do? What do you understand? Then you go by the behavior of the other person. To understand the behavior, we go by different technologies. Like, you see, the transaction analysis is one human technology. The neuro-linguistic programming is another technology. So these technologies are very important. For example, NLP, it is for the excellence. How can I attain excellence? So that comes by NLP. So that way, I want to know which human technologies you want to use to bring development among the tribals.
So generally the problem is most of the education for tribals, they are not done in their language, tribal language. Oftentimes they are done in Telugu or English. So we can use primers which can translate the lessons into their language. Like at one side it will be in the regular language, and the other side it will be in the tribal language, so that they can better able to understand the lessons, and that is one thing I can do.
Right, thank you, Bharadwaj.
Yeah, Bharadwaj, in 2021, the union government introduced a scheme called PLI. PLI.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the scheme, and can you give any example of how it is helping domestic industry?
PLS product linked incentivization, sir.
Product, huh?
Yes, sir. Production links. And so the idea is to give
some, for example, if we take a PLI scheme in electronics only, any industry that has set up in India, that was being set up in India, if it's able to produce based on how much, based on the quantity produced, proportionately the incentive was given, like 6 to 4% rebate was given to those companies. So in this way, it is encouraging big companies to set up in India, because ultimately big corporations have larger productions and they can get more subsidies.
Can you look at your own state and give any example of how this is done well in smartphone manufacturing? And there are projections that India has become a very big producer, and it is going to get a very big market share on.
Yes, sir.
In your state, there are certain manufacturers.
Yes, sir. Currently, India is second largest manufacturing of smartphones, and in our state, Sri City is one area where a lot of assembling plants were being set up by renowned smartphone makers like Xiaomi, where this assembling was being done, sir.
So overall, if you look at domestic industry has been able to utilize this scheme and also gain in terms of import substitution in any area.
It is able to utilize the scheme, sir, but there are few problems, like there is no value addition that was being done, especially in assembling plants. Most of them are they are importing components and they are assembling and they are exporting. So unless and until we add more value to it, it won't do us any good, sir. We can't technologically develop, sir.
If you look at one of the problems we realized was China, dependency of India on China for a lot of material, raw material and all that. After the scheme also, if you look at the latest, bilateral trade, the imports from China has increased.
yes. So the reason was the same
Thing, sir. As more companies are setting up, they are importing more and more components. Unless we manufacturing components and chips, we can't reduce this trade imbalance with China, sir. And that is the reason now our Prime Minister is also encouraging more semiconductor fabs to be established in our country.
So what has happened to Make in India in the last 8 years and Made in India earlier? Make in India is not a good success, more slogan.
At least in electronics industry and electronic manufacturing, it was not able to bring more investments, sir. It's only after COVID-19 pandemic there was a realization that we have to diversify our supply chains, and then there was more intent to establish electronic industry in India, sir.
Now very recently an IAS officer from Kashmir, he had quit his service, then joined politics. Then something else happened. He returned. Who is that officer and what did he do? And what is his reason for coming back?
His name is Shah Faisal, sir.
Okay.
He's a 2008 batch IAS officer, and 2019 he has quit to flout a new political party in Jammu and Kashmir. And after that, actually Article 370 was abolished, and he was placed under house arrest, sir. And I think
Subsequently, there was a realization within him that he was not able to I mean, he did not choose did not do a right thing by entering politics, and currently he is inclined to come back to the service.
No, there are people who have gone into politics from IAS. They have done well. No, he is not done well. What do you think of this trend, or bureaucrats going into politics? Can they do well? This might be one example where he is disillusioned, but some others might be doing well. Do you think it's a good progression to serve public through politics?
Bureaucrats going into politics, end of the day, it is up to one's individual choice and how he sees his potential in politics, sir. And it is a good thing only because they have a lot of field experience and maybe
They can use it better serving the people at a more decision making level compared to the bureaucrats. If they think like that, they usually choose this path, sir.
Because you are also leaving a wonderful career in private sector, very good companies, and then want to serve the public. The next stage, you become a politician. You serve, with greater, experience and also advantages.
I mean, I never thought in that direction.
Okay. Yeah. Now you studied at NIT Warangal. B.Tech.
Yes, sir.
Recently, the Ramappa temple was the UNESCO tag.
Yes, sir.
Now, can you tell me what is the contribution of NIT Warangal to Ramappa temple? Or even broadly to, Warangal is quite a rich place in terms of heritage, in terms of temples, in terms of the fort and all that. What is your contribution of NIT Warangal?
I'm not sure, sir. I'm not aware, sir.
Okay. Yeah, you have visited all these places? Thousand
Yes,
Pillar Temple.
Yes, sir.
How well are they the tourist destination?
Actually, when I was studying in Warangal, Thousand Pillar Temple was under renovation, sir. So I was not able to see those 1,000 pillars. I was able to just visit the shrine, however,
There are 1,000 pillars.
That's what, sir. Right?
Okay.
It was always closed because it's under renovation, so I could not see. Ramappa temple is a good place, sir, actually. However, tourist facilities are not better developed there. Still, I mean, it is quite far from Warangal city. You have to travel 80 kilometers. And I did not see more tourist facilities there.
So, if you are given responsibility, to draw up a plan to ensure that more tourists come there, what things would you like to address? Because this UNESCO tag has also been given to the temple.
First important thing is we have to publicize that place, market that place. I see when I was working in Bangalore, I see government of Karnataka, they were publicizing their heritage sites in a much better manner. People from Bangalore, especially IT employees, the Karnataka State Tourism Development Corporation, it had brought in packages to visit all these heritage, 1 day, 2 day packages to visit these places. And in those places also there are good, decent accommodation facilities and all. Similarly, Telangana state government can also, the tourism department also, they can plan a package of Ramappa and surrounding places. There are good places also like Laknavaram, there are hanging bridges, there is Parka Lake. So, combining all these three, they can form a package and they can publicize it so that more and more people from Hyderabad can frequently visit. And
See, having stay packages, concessions and all that is a strategy that all tourism department will follow. But is there anything unique that will draw me as a tourist, which you can incentivize to Warangal and Ramappa?
maybe one thing is like we can plan some laser shows or some kind of such things where we can project the greatness or the heritage of those areas, and that way it can attract more people.
Okay. At Andhra Pradesh also, if you say in the last 5-6 years, from a state, which the earlier government wanted a lot of foreign investment, a lot of projects, the shops. The economy has been going into some sort of a strain. And this government has brought in a lot of welfareism. Consequently, the state finances are in a very fragile situation. Now, what is this welfare economics and what is the SOPs? What is the difference between these two?
Freebies.
Freebies.
So, with respect to welfare economics,
The idea behind it is when government can support people in their in meeting their basic necessities, it can help and also through providing better educational and health facilities, human capital can be developed and which can subsequently contribute for the development of the state, sir. It is under this the state has taken up the path of welfareism, but freebies is something where giving subsidies without any targeting, such that even the people who are not deserving the benefits are also getting those benefits, and also there is some populism or populism involved in freebies.
But do you think the present strategy of welfare economics is developing any strengths, skills, or any assets, or any instances where people who are benefiting are able to do well, again contribute? Is it a one-way kind of a expenditure for the government, or is there any return that is coming?
return in the sense that currently there is a lack of investments in the state, like in industries also there are not enough industries. So many people are migrating to cities like Hyderabad and Bangalore. So directly the state is not getting any benefits because of this welfareism. But few schemes like crop investment schemes to farmers and all, they can help in improving the productivity or agricultural output. So that way it can benefit the state governments.
Is welfareism good politics or good economics?
Welfareism has to be targeted, sir, in my opinion. Only then it can be better. But welfareism has to also be
Complemented by developmental or capital expenditure. Unless the capital expenditure is not there, welfareism alone can't bring developments.
Thank you.
Mr. Bharadwaj, one of your hobbies is reading books of emerging technology. What are the books you have read?
So one book I have read is The Age of Artificial Intelligence and Our Human Future it was written by Henry Kissinger, sir, the former Secretary of State of US, and Eric Schmidt, who was also an ex-CEO of Google, sir. They have discussed how artificial intelligence is going to influence human, the way human interactions in the future, sir. Whether it is posing any threats or whether it is going to benefit the humanity.
What is beggar my neighbor policy?
But,
Beggar my neighbor policy. Tried it with there. Beggar my neighbor policy.
Sorry, I am not aware of that.
See, the school of thought holds that after independence, we got our independence after World War II. So along with us, there are about 50 countries who have also got independence from Western clutches after World War II. So there is a feeling that had we not fought for freedom, we would have got it automatically. Because like other countries which they have got. Because after World War, the Western countries have almost economically ruined. And they were forced to hand over their colonies to the respective leaders. We also would have got our independence like that. Our freedom like that. But what extra gain we have got by fighting for freedom. I think I am clear in my point. Extra mileage.
The extra mileage we got with our freedom struggle is that the Indian national freedom movement, it has united people all over the country. Despite being a very diverse country, lot of languages are present. Even today, India is very strong in its democratic principles. If we take many other countries that have got independence along with us, most of the countries are still not politically stable today. Like if you take Myanmar, it is few years it has been with democracy and there was military rule.
Now, even if we take Sri Lanka, it has suffered civil war for quite some time in its history. Even Pakistan is under military rule. So the democratic principles and unity in diversity is something which we gained through this prolonged freedom struggles.
Our freedom struggle is virtually from 1887, first war of independence, to 1947, about 60 years.
Yes.
So all these 60 years, our freedom struggle has taught us how politically we should be strong. That is the only thing what you wanted to project.
More than politically strong, it is about including all sections of people into the politics. Like
meeting, satisfying aspirations, accommodating aspirations of people from all the sections, all walks of life into the political scene.
Developed only, developing country only. Or we have enough population dividend is there, but at the same time unemployment is there. The multiple party system is there. What are the strong points we gained out of this freedom struggle? We said uniting people, that's okay, one thing. And what else?
Despite all these problems, unemployment,
India being still a developed country, we are developing in the sense that from the point where we started and the point where we are today, we had improved significantly, and also democracy, as I have mentioned earlier, it is one more strong point, sir. Our democratic principles are very strong. Even if we see today, at panchayat level, democratic principles are very strong. So this is something which we.
Panchayat level, the administration and all from Chola time it was there, Maurya time it was there.
Yes, sir, but subsequently, like during British era also, this kind of self-rule was not there, and so on.
There is a talk that the history should be rewritten. What are they going to rewrite? What are the grey areas where we need to rewrite?
History. I'm not aware of the debates.
Construction of temples are supporting by certain governments, like Ram temple and Statue of Equality, like that. The the people are being driven to blind belief or dogmas. Where is the scientific temper getting promoted?
So,
I mentioned only two temples, but overall.
so when we say that governments are supporting it, India itself is a secular country, and its secularism is very different from Western secularism.
I think that people are being driven to blind belief and dogmas instead of scientific temper. Inculcation of scientific temper is lacking. That's what I feel. What do you say?
No, sir, we can't relate religion with the scientific temper, sir. Religion is something which is a part of society from thousands of years, and people who are religious are also successful scientists. They emerged as successful scientists. We are seeing, like during ISRO launches, the chairman of ISRO going to temples. So we can't directly relate religion to scientific tempers. Religion is more about inculcating spirituality, or for a social, it can be used as a social stabilizer. So its purpose is different, sir. I mean, it can't be related to scientific temper, sir. And government is making efforts to improve scientific temper also, sir. It is establishing higher education institutions. It is providing generous grants for research and development. So in this way, it is
different. Temple's concept point of view.
Yes, sir. That's what both are parallel streams. We can't
just because one government is encouraging one stream, it is not neglecting the other streams, sir.
Don't you see intolerance creeping up in the political arena?
Yes, sir. When in general, when a multi-religious society, whenever there is a multi-religious society, oftentimes some sort of intolerance or some disputes will occur. It is how well that the government, how quickly the government...
Is it healthy to a secular country?
Such disputes are never healthy to a secular country, sir. Religious disputes. They should be rectified or resolved as soon as possible.
What is consumer surplus?
Sorry, sir, I'm not.
Doctrine of necessity?
I'm not.
Who said capitalism contains seeds of its own destruction? Capitalism contains
I'm not.
India's economic growth is described as jobless growth.
Yes, sir, because the growth which was being registered, it was not able to create enough employment, because most of the growth, the benefits of the growth are cornered among the top 10% or top 1%. Yes, sir. It was because there are certain reports like Oxfam where it was showing consistently that top 1% or top 10% is owning a majority of the wealth of the country. So in that way, it is lopsided, sir. And effort should be made to promote this concept of inclusive growth.
Sri Lanka crisis, if we relate it to India because of the similar circumstances, don't you see a threat to India's stability from the point of view of what Sri Lanka is facing with increased debt, increased inflation, and freebies?
Yes, sir. I mean, Sri Lanka's situation is pretty much an example of what happens when there is no control over freebies, or
when there is no fiscal consolidation happening in an economy, and when an economy is excessively dependent on certain sectors. Sri Lanka is a very small country and its economy is dependent on very few sectors like tourism or its tea exports, agricultural exports. But India is a very strong economy. It is very diversified.
More resilient
compared to Sri Lanka.
Okay,
But still,
Okay, a few questions. Not regarding the interview. It's over. I seek information. When actually is your final interview?
May 9th. Yes.
When do you plan to go?
6th, sir. On 6th I'm going.
Have you been to Delhi before? Is this the first time you have qualified up to personality test, or did you face the UPSC board earlier?
it is last year.
How long was that interview?
30
to 35 minutes, sir.
How many marks did you get in the last interview?
179.
Good, 179. Very good. Did you shave at that time, or?
Yes, sir. Today,
Just ask. Same soup or some other? Last week.
almost same, sir.
Okay. Now we'll give you feedback one after the other. You're definitely well informed, there is no doubt about that. But while giving answers, you lack enthusiasm. Your answers are not spirited, they are dull. How to inject or infuse enthusiasm is something you have to think about in the next 9 days. We will now identify the areas where you need to work on. While generally you are well informed, there are some weak areas. So in the next 9 days you have to work on that. So he will start and then it will go like that. Eventually I will come back.
Okay. So Bharadwaj, the chairman pointed out, I think by and large your understanding levels are quite good, but my feeling is that technically you are very sound and strong. That's very good. So your tactics in the interview should be to get the interviewer close to your areas of strength. Okay, semiconductors, hardware, software, your freeware, whatever are the wares. Try to drag them into your area so that you will do well. Because in uncharted areas, your answers are not focused and they are wavering. You should either straight away say, I don't know. Like you said 3 or 4, you said, sorry, I'm not aware. It's okay, no, not a problem.
That is the best strategy.
That's the best. And you need to, like your software is logical, your answers also have to be logical. I'll give you just one example. When I asked you, given a choice, where will you locate your semiconductors manufacturing facility? Then immediately you said, Rayalaseema. Because whatever was there in your mind was only part of the requirement for locating an industry. So you should quickly think what are all required for a semi. You said it requires a lot of water in another question. Okay, it requires a lot of land. Then when I asked whether it should be close to a market or it should be close to raw material. So you should have a logical answer which should immediately say that I need to locate the unit at a place, not Rayalaseema or Konaseema or some other Seema or Hyderabad. Which from criticality point of view, land availability is critical, therefore land prices where large extents of lands are available. But at the same time, water availability is also critical. Therefore, you also said, of course, wrongly you said Visakhapatnam steel plant built Elleru reservoir with their own cost. No, government have built Eleshwaram and they have a storage reservoir within Visakhapatnam steel plant campus. So you cannot exclusively invest money on buying land and also buying or constructing a water reservoir without knowing where the source is. So your answer should be logical, where you should optimize on the land costs, availability of water. How you store is a different matter altogether. You can't construct a dam. So, and markets, after all, whatever semiconductors that you manufacture are not heavy equipment, machinery, and therefore the transportation costs on taking to the market have to be minimized. So you try and understand that as long as you give a logical answer. So one sentence answer where I should be able to optimize the cost of land, the availability of water, etc. Because the market is not a constraint. So, but you said first Rayalaseema, then you said Rayalaseema because there are no productive lands. Then you said, yeah, water is a problem. No, it has to be a single answer, comprehensive. All right? You know the answers. So it has to be a comprehensive answer is what I am trying to say. And there should be consistency. It should not be a random answer. Like when I asked about what are the problems of tribal areas, you said yes, drinking water is one of the problems, but it is a seasonal problem. Okay. Now malaria is on account of water stagnation and for some other reasons. Now immediately you said you will focus on water treatment plant. What water treatment plant would you like to construct in tribal areas where water itself is clean, where water is turbid or it has some chemicals, metals, heavy metals, where you need to treat before bringing the water to drinking water standards? So you cannot immediately say, no, I'll put up water treatment plants. No, you should again think logically as to what is the problem, because they are all uncharted. You never heard of a question, you were never asked as to what will you do to solve drinking water problem in Paderu. So your thinking should be fresh and logical. And you also can't say, I can't do it, I don't know what to do. So you have to zero in on a logical answer. Saying, I'll look at the village where water supply has been improved. I'll see about availability of water. I'll see whether the water is available for all the season. I'll see whether water quality is potable or not. I'll see whether a treatment plant will be required to be put up there. So, in this manner, because you are an engineering student, you know all this, but the way you structure your answers, don't get confused. Yes. Don't get scared that, oh, I have not heard this question before. You have the capacity to answer, but think logically. Yes. And that is the only solution that I want. Okay. Otherwise, you are a good material. And 174 is good, but you can improve substantially. Or you can go up to 200. Yes. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Let's go Mr. Bharadwaj. What I observe is that, okay, you can take care of your beard, that's the one.
Yes.
And your hair also.
Well groomed. You have to groom your
Yeah. So before you go to the board, go to the washroom.
Private sector people are like that.
Then show more enthusiasm. After all, this is a conversation. It is not to test your knowledge.
That stage is over.
That is over. It is to show your creativity, enthusiasm. You have to bring some innovative ideas. So I ask certain questions. You have to come with, because they will be surprising to you suddenly, isn't it? So you must take some time to see how you can give a good answer. So a purposeful and meaningful conversation is what is required here. Then you listen to the question. So sometimes it so happens that you will be thinking something. While the question is asked, you may be thinking something. So after you have to take a few seconds when unusual questions come, right? So there definitely can come up with good answers. Coming to a few questions like City of Destiny. These are the words given by Katmancha Ramnikareddy.
He is one of the early vice chancellors of Andhra
University, and you can see his statue at
but he never went to Andhra University. Did you ever go to Andhra University?
You are a student, you are from Vishakhapatnam.
No, he is from Narsipatnam.
Yeah, Narsipatnam. You never visited the Vishakhapatnam?
I went, sir.
Went and saw a few movies and came back.
But of course, if you see the profile of Vishakhapatnam, we find these words on the top.
Yes.
Okay. So now the metro project, of course, that is not taking place, but everything is now ready. The only thing is the union government is ready for that. The state has to submit all the details. Coming to the tribal district, the challenges. So why we ask this is that your priorities, how you are going to prioritize. So infrastructure development takes long time. Can you do it in 2 or 3 years? It takes long time to go for infrastructure. What is more important? The tribals' basic needs are to be taken care of. So thereby, Sir asked about water. So I didn't go for that. So you have to take the basic needs, how you can cater to the basic needs, then you must go for the medical aspects, go for the economic aspects. You came, but the prioritization is very important, right? Then talked about the steel plant. You said it's last making. In fact, it is not the fault of steel plant. There are many factors, and one important culprit was the union government itself. Okay, so it forced the
let me tell you, number one, it does not have any plant in UP. That is not correct factually. However, when the plant was being built, it was supposed to be completely funded by the Government of India's funds. But after some funding, they said you borrow from the banks and market. So that interest burden continues. So in its balance sheet, it has that headache of having to service that debt. So that is one of the problems.
And actually,
And,
they borrowed 986 crores from the open market, as Sir said.
Now the whole plant itself was not more than 12,000 crores.
Yes.
So this is a big chunk.
And you know, from 1991 to 2001 and 2, it was making losses. From 2002 to 3 up to 14-15, it is in profits. For a long period, it is under profits. But because of certain factors, especially in the COVID time, it incurred losses. But normally steel plant is there, because we worked there, we know the things. So this is not the making of the steel plant. There are other factors whereby, as you said rightly, it has no captive mines, and its coal mines were also cancelled. They were there in that country. So there are factors which caused the steel plant to incur further losses. Otherwise, it's I think only shore-based steel plant. Coming to this fiscal indiscipline, that aspect is Supreme Court is very serious on the AP government, because it's diverted the funds related to the state disaster response force to personal deposits. So Supreme Court is very serious on this matter. Then Achyut Samantha. So because you are a student from tribal, so he was instrumental for the institutes, Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences and Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology. More than 30,000 tribal boys and girls, they are getting education free of cost. Excellent initiative taken by him. So we got to appreciate such great personalities. Then other aspect, the tribes in the AP, roughly 32 tribes are there. The Tolar, of course, the
PVTGs.
Then the culture of a society reflects its language. Telugu language is such a beautiful language. It gives, especially when you address other people, you give a lot of importance. You rightly observe, but I am asking about the examples, how you are going to show respect towards the other people. You see, when you talk about other people, Mamaya, so they are Attaya. So you are adding a lot of respect towards those things. When you introduce your son to your father, introducing yourself to somebody else, how does he introduce? Abbai. Abba means what? Father. Amma means mother. So there is a lot of culture which is added to the words. So that way we can see the language, the relation with the society, language with the culture, language with the history. So the etymological aspect is also very important, because especially in anthropology, you got that linguistic anthropology. So there you have to be very careful. A person who is a fan of language may ask such questions. Okay? Then human technology. So you are, as Sir said, you are very good at your own subject. So we want to divert you. So I made a phrase called a human technology, because the development is very much needed for the tribals. The attitudinal change is very, very important. So there are many technologies from the psychology point of view. As a bureaucrat, you can introduce these things apart from other things. Thereby you can bring a lot of change. So that's why I asked these things. Okay, Bharadwaj, you got 174, that means you got very good, you create very good impression on the board. So you got the potential. So we want to see that you are in the IAS. So that's why we want to see that you come up with the occasion. Having knowledge is different. Presenting the knowledge suitable at the appropriate time is another important aspect. So be creative. So you are a dull, you are showing some as a dull with energy levels are very low. Of course, afternoon there is a way. But you have to make the board more enthusiastic to ask more questions. Okay, so be interactive. That's what it is. Okay, all the best.
I think I find you smart and articulate, but I agree with all of them saying, you lack that enthusiasm. See, when I say lack, I am giving some emphasis to that word. So I think when you're answering, I think you use that articulation well, so that you show that excitement
And voice
enthusiasm,
modulation.
modulation. All that will be keenly watched or listened to by the entire group. So that's how you attract attention of all of us. Otherwise, I'll be looking there, he'll be looking that side, and you are giving a very disinterested kind of a expression and voice.
So is it my voice?
I'll give.
And a few things, your awareness and answering is quite fine as far as I asked. Few things like NIT's contribution to Ramappa temple. Your civil engineering department has extensively.
Ajay, you have not been to Ramappa temple?
Entire Ramappa temple, the 1,000-pillar temple, they have studied the entire design, material, why they have caved in, and also given conservation, how to restore.
Panduranga
Rao.
He left in 2014, so he's not.
So based on that, a lot of work has been done. In the 70s and 80s is the period when a lot of this was done. Not much, action was taken on the recommendations. And during 70s and 80s, as a alumnus of NIT, Warangal, you should also know that it was a hub for Naxalism. Okay. By chance, somebody. Although
When it was REC Warangal.
Yes.
Although it is old, but you can't. You should be aware.
70s.
So this entire thing now the Telangana government has taken this forward, and because of the efforts in the last 7-8 years, it has got a tag, UNESCO tag, and you are quite okay in terms of presenting a plan. But what is so unique about that place? Why I should go there? So there is a temple, there is a fort. There are many such places in India. So here, you can look at a holistic view of having not just a old temple. There is, as you said, that Laknaram. There is Etur Nagar. There is a forest. So you can go into the forest. Then you can see this 1,000-pillar temple.
Third.
So there is so much there. You can present it as something where you will have a unique experience.
It's a package.
So you need to bring in a little bit of uniqueness in presenting.
Yes, since you are also an anthropology student, forest, this and that, I thought you must be aware of these things.
And that's PLI thing, okay, your answer was quite good. Only thing is, when you talk about Andhra Pradesh and smartphones and manufacturing, I think you should remember Foxconn has a big unit in Sri City. You mentioned
Sri City as well as Sri Parambadur. That Sri City is. It is there in Chittoor district, Nellore district, and part of Tamil Nadu. It's a tri-junction.
And then Apple, they make an iPhone, Apple. So it's an important center. Now on this Shah Faisal, that IAS officer from Kashmir.
JK.
Now he is a doctor. He is the first Kashmiri to top IAS civil services.
Not exactly top. His rank was number 2. His erstwhile wife was number 1. Tina Davi. Fortunately, they got separated.
No, వాళ్ళు రాజస్థాన్ సార్, వాళ్ళు ఇద్దరు రాజస్థాన్. వీ టాపరే.
Athar is different.
అతను different.
Athar very recent.
వాళ్ళ డైవర్స్ కూడా అయిపోయింది, మళ్ళీ పెళ్లి చేసుకుంటున్నారు.
ఇప్పుడు వీడి పెళ్ళం ఐఏఎస్ కదా. ఓకే.
And he is a 2010.
But he's cleared. He's cleared. The government of India, his resignation was not accepted.
They did not accept.
So he's joining, sir.
He is reinstated into service.
So what he did was, as you rightly said, he quit on whatever some stand he
No, he
took.
regretted also.
Yeah.
Then he started a political party. Then he got arrested. Then he
Bad
came
trend,
out.
very bad
And then
trend.
he said it is a complete wrong on my part. I misread the whole thing. So I'm disillusioned and all that. And said he wants to join back. So he is now the Home
My
Ministry.
idealism let me down. He used the words. My idealism let me down.
So the Home Ministry has taken him back. That's what is the latest. So
DOPT.
Resignation was not accepted.
He
So
resigned
he is
not-
allowed to
Actually, he was suspended.
join. Yes.
There was a criminal case against him under unlawful activity went to detention under the Public Security Act
PSA Act.
of J&K. There's so many things.
PSA Act.
Eventually, he realized it is better to be practical. So he requested for release from suspension. So he was released from suspension, reinstated. Meanwhile, J&K cadre disappeared. It became a UT. So now they'll post him somewhere. Maybe Arunachal Pradesh.
So he said, my idealism has let me down. So if somebody asks, what your idealism is bringing you away from...
No, he said, I lost my friends, I lost this, that, everybody criticized me, he got alienated.
So there are a lot of interesting aspects in this story about an IAS officer, which can be related to directed at you. Okay, so I think I wish you all the very best. You have all the material to make it.
Yeah, you are a strong man. I also observed that hair is unkempt. So before going take this thing, you are a knowledgeable man and you have every chance of getting good service. Okay? It is not that everything you are supposed to know. Certain things which are you are not familiar. Because I asked about consumer surplus, doctrine of necessity. These are general things which you may know, may not know.
Not knowing is no problem.
But that's what. See, local awareness of local knowledge, local things we should be very careful. And wherever I raise a question you could not answer, I will clarify. You say independence is not a big thing nowadays. We would have got our independence. But thing is that we learned how to rule ourselves. What is the democracy you mentioned? So democratic rule, and we are exposed to the world. We are exposed because the Britishers have ruled us. So we had a chance to expose to the world. Even if they occupied after Second World War, they have to leave us and then go. They have no stamina to withstand. Okay. This is one school of thought arguing for independence. History to be rewritten. No one knows what is to be rewritten because Hinduism or Muslim is something. History is facts. It talks of only the facts of the over a period of time. But what is to be rewritten, how it's to be meant, is all high profile thinking. No one is clear about it. Okay? And the consumer surplus is something which you get satisfaction more than what you thought of it. Okay, so that is a consumer surplus, what we call. It can be measured in any. Suppose you wanted to spend 100 rupees, you got it for 80 rupees. So you have a consumer surplus of 20 rupees. It can be measured that way. Even every talks and every happenings, we talk of consumer surplus. And doctrine of necessity is something, everything should be ruled as per law. But when there is a requirement due to certain necessities, law can be tweaked a little bit. This is what the doctrine of necessity talks of. Capitalism contains seeds of its own destruction. Karl Marx has said this way. So he was thinking that there is a class struggle between capitalists and the labor class. Sometimes the labor class at one point of time, when the exploitation is at the highest peak, they will revolt against the capitalism and capitalism will perish. So beggar my neighbor policy is something between two countries. One country will be following certain policies at the expense of other countries, like devaluation of rupee. So when the devaluation is taking place, then the more exports will take place at the cost of the other countries. So these are the general concepts what I have mentioned. So good luck, all the best.
Okay, now you heard whatever we said. Now you can ask any clarifications, questions.
With respect to enthusiasm, like what did, is it my voice or?
Enthusiasm is part of the body language. You should be interested in your own answer. If the answer is a mechanical, for example, have you ever seen a robot or robo speaking?
Yes.
Is there any modulation?
Understood.
So, it becomes a boring thing to listen to such things. So, you have to inject spirit and enthusiasm so that the listener gets interest. First, you should be interested in the answer yourself. If you are not interested,
I answered with lot.
Lot of interest, just that it was not reflected with maybe
in your body language.
in my body language.
Yeah.
Now you are much more.
Relaxed.
So you see, firstly, don't be under tension. God has been quite good to you. You have a good job. You are talented. In all probability, you will make it to IAS. But even if you don't, what will happen? You won't be impoverished. You won't become a beggar. You will continue to work wherever you are. And your monthly salary is 1,46,000. It's not a bad amount. Is it a bad amount? Maybe you will get it. But even if you don't get it, don't unnecessarily have these tensions. What will happen? What will happen? Nothing will happen. The destiny will take care. But you deserve. You believe that you deserve. So you're talented. You have done your whatever required hard work, etc. So now you try your best. Anything else?
That's it, sir. That's all.
9 more days. Relax. Read newspapers. Be alert. That's all. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.